Imagine, for a moment, the night sky as an ancient manuscript, its constellations inked in starlight, whispering secrets to those who dare to look up and listen. For millennia, humanity has turned its gaze to the heavens, seeking meaning in the cosmic patterns, believing, perhaps, that the planets and stars are not merely distant fires but celestial hands shaping the clay of our lives. Astrology, in its essence, is the language of this dialogue between the cosmos and the soul, a poetic mapping of influences that some say guide our temperament, our trials, and even our triumphs. But here lies the great enigma. If the stars nudge us towards certain destinies, where then does our free will reside? Are we but actors reciting lines written in the sky, or do we hold the pen that scripts our own fate? This is the hidden tension, the silent question pulsing beneath every horoscope ever cast, every birth chart ever drawn. To some, astrology is a comforting mirror, reflecting innate tendencies and unseen currents. To others, it is a prison of predestination, stripping away the sovereignty of choice. But what if the truth is far more mysterious? What if the stars do not dictate, but invite? What if the constellations are less a rigid script and more a dynamic dance, one where we are both the dancer and the choreographer, moving in rhythm with celestial music yet free to improvise our steps? Consider the moon, that silver wanderer pulling the tides of the ocean as effortlessly as it tugs at the tides of human emotion. Its phases remind us that influence is not control. The moon does not command the waves, it invites them to rise and fall. In the same way, astrology may illuminate the currents of our nature, the inherited passions of Mars, the reflective depths of the moon, the disciplined structures of Saturn, but it does not erase our ability to navigate those currents. The birth chart is not a verdict, it is a compass. And a compass, no matter how precise, does not walk the path for you. This is where free will enters, not as a defiance of cosmic order but as its necessary counterpart. The ancients spoke of the microcosm and the macrocosm, the human and the universe as mirrors of one another. If the macrocosm imprints upon us certain inclinations, then the microcosm, the individual soul, must have its answering voice. The stars may whisper, but we choose how loudly to echo their words. So let us embark on this journey together, peeling back the layers of this celestial mystery. Let us wander through the philosophical crossroads where fate and choice meet, where destiny is not a closed door but a corridor of possibilities. If these words stir something in you, if you feel the old, starry pull of wonder, then I invite you to join me further. Like, comment, and subscribe if you wish to delve deeper into these cosmic contemplations, to unravel the threads that bind heaven and human agency. To understand the delicate interplay between astrology and free will, we must first explore the foundational principles that govern both concepts, the cosmic laws that shape destiny, and the silent, sovereign power of human choice. Imagine the universe as a grand symphony, where each planet, each constellation, plays its part in an intricate celestial score. Astrology, then, is the art of reading this music, interpreting how its harmonies and dissonances might resonate within the human soul. But here arises the pivotal question: is the music preordained, or can the listener, the living, breathing self, alter its melody? At the heart of astrology lies the concept of archetypal influence. The planets do not dictate events in a crude, deterministic fashion. Rather, they symbolize universal energies, primal forces that manifest differently depending on the vessel they inhabit. Mars is not merely war, but the raw drive of assertion. How one channels that fire depends on the individual. Venus is not just love, but the entire spectrum of attraction. Whether one seeks harmony in art, in romance, or in diplomacy, is a matter of personal unfolding. The birth chart, then, is less a prison sentence and more a cosmic vocabulary, a language of potentials waiting to be spoken into existence. Yet, if the stars merely suggest rather than command, where does true agency reside? This is where the ancient philosophical debate between fate and free will emerges in full force. The Stoics spoke of the Logos, an all-pervading divine reason that ordered the universe, yet they also upheld the power of individual perception, how one chooses to respond to circumstance. Similarly, in Vedic tradition, the concept of karma suggests that while past actions set certain conditions, the present moment always holds the freedom to reshape the future. Astrology, when understood deeply, aligns with this wisdom. It reveals the currents, but the swimmer still decides how to navigate them. Consider the metaphor of a river. The river has its course, its banks, its currents, its inevitable flow toward the sea. This is the domain of fate, the celestial patterning that astrology maps. But within that river, the swimmer may choose to fight the current, to float effortlessly, or to steer toward an eddy where stillness allows for reflection. The river does not drown the swimmer by decree. It presents challenges and opportunities, and the swimmer's skill, will, and awareness determine the outcome. So too with astrology. The transits of Saturn may bring lessons of discipline, but whether one meets them with resistance or growth is a matter of inner sovereignty. This brings us to the paradox at the core of our exploration: the illusion of separation between fate and free will. Perhaps they are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of a greater unity. The cosmos sets the stage, but the actor improvises the lines. The birth chart may indicate a predisposition toward melancholy, but it does not erase the capacity for joy. It merely asks that one learn its language, that one work with the energies rather than against them. In this light, free will is not the absence of cosmic influence, but the art of collaboration with it. And yet, if we are co-creators with the universe, what then of destiny? Is there a fixed endpoint, or is every moment a branching path? Here, we touch upon the esoteric idea of multiple timelines, the notion that the future is not a single, unbroken thread, but a tapestry of possibilities, each woven by choice. Astrology, then, becomes a tool not for rigid prediction, but for navigational wisdom. It does not say, "This will happen," but rather, "These are the energies at play. How will you meet them?" To grasp the hidden dialogue between astrology and free will, we must turn to the language of symbols, the myths and archetypes that have shaped human understanding since the first stories were told around ancient fires. These are not mere fables, but living echoes of cosmic truths, patterns that repeat across cultures and epochs, because they speak to something primordial within us. Consider the Greek myth of Prometheus, the Titan who defied the gods to bring fire knowledge, illumination to humanity. In astrological terms, Prometheus embodies the spirit of Uranus, the planet of rebellion, innovation, and sudden awakening. His story is one of both fate and defiance. He was destined for punishment, bound to a rock where an eagle eternally devoured his liver. Yet his act of free will, the theft of divine fire, forever altered the course of human consciousness. Here, we see the tension between cosmic order and mortal agency. The gods decreed one fate, but Prometheus chose another, and in doing so, reshaped destiny itself. Or look to the Egyptian goddess Maat, she who holds the scales of justice, weighing the hearts of the dead against the feather of truth. She is the embodiment of Libra, the sign of balance, karma, and ethical choice. Her myth teaches that while the cosmos operates under laws cause and effect, action and consequence, it is the individual's decisions that determine how those laws manifest. A soul may be born under a challenging alignment of Saturn, signifying restriction, but whether that restriction becomes a prison or a crucible for wisdom depends on the choices made in life. Even the celestial bodies themselves are not static dictators but dynamic participants in an unfolding story. The moon, eternally cycling through phases, mirrors the human journey through light and shadow, waxing and waning in clarity and mystery. The sun, though fixed in its central role, does not determine the quality of the day, only the stage upon which we act. A storm may gather under a Leo sun, or a moment of serenity may unfold beneath a Capricorn moon. The stars incline. They do not compel. Perhaps the most profound symbol of all is the Ouroboros, the serpent devouring its own tail. It represents eternity, the cyclical nature of time, and the paradox of fate and free will intertwined. The circle is unbroken, yet within it, infinite variations spiral. Astrology, then, is not a closed loop, but a sacred spiral, a return to the same archetypal energies at higher levels of understanding, where each revolution offers new choices, new chances to align with or transcend the patterns written in the stars. Theories shimmer like distant stars, beautiful, but cold to the touch. What transforms them into warmth, into meaning, is the moment they descend from the realm of ideas and take root in the soil of our daily lives. If astrology is a language of cosmic patterns, and free will is the hand that writes our response, how then do we live this dialogue in a way that feels true, empowering, and alive? Begin with the simplest of practices, awareness. Just as a sailor studies the wind and tides before setting sail, so too can we learn to read the celestial climate. When Mars stations retrograde, do you feel the familiar itch of frustration, the old impulse to force outcomes? That is the universe offering you a choice to collide headfirst with resistance or to pause, recalibrate, and redirect your energy. The transit does not make you angry. It highlights where anger already lives within you, asking, will you confront this or be consumed by it? Astrology, in this light, becomes a mirror, not a mandate. Consider the real-world implications of Saturn's return, that infamous astrological rite of passage occurring in our late 20s and again in our late 50s. It is often spoken of with dread, as if Saturn's stern gaze brings only loss and limitation. But those who have consciously worked with this transit, who have asked, what structures in my life need reassessment? Where am I being called to mature? Often emerge with a clarified sense of purpose. The difference lies in perception. One person experiences Saturn as a judge, another as a wise elder. The planet's energy is the same. The choice of how to meet it is yours. Even the most mundane decisions can become sacred when viewed through this lens. A new moon is not merely a celestial event, it is an invitation. Cultures across time have used this phase for setting intentions, precisely because the dark sky mirrors the blank page. But here's the crucial nuance. The moon does not make your intentions manifest. It simply marks a moment of collective energetic support, like a tide lifting all boats. You must still choose to set the intention, to take the action, to persist when the path grows dim. The cosmos conspires, but it does not compel. Relationships, too, are illuminated by this understanding. Synastry, the astrological study of compatibility, can reveal where harmonies and challenges lie between two people's charts. But it cannot predict whether a couple will choose patience over pride, dialogue over silence. A square between one's Mercury and another's Pluto might indicate intense, potentially combative communication, yet this same aspect, when met with awareness, can forge profound transformations through truth-telling. The aspect describes the weather. The individuals decide whether to seek shelter or dance in the rain. And what of career? Purpose? The great question of, what am I here to do? A birth chart may suggest innate gifts, a prominent Jupiter pointing to teaching or expansion, a strong 10th house hinting at public impact. But it cannot dictate whether you will heed those callings or ignore them out of fear. The musician born with Neptune trine Venus may have an ear for melody, but without practice, without the courage to share their voice, the potential remains unplayed. The stars may whisper your name, but you must choose to answer. This is the alchemy of practical astrology. It does not remove life's uncertainties, but it does offer a lantern for the path. When faced with a decision, you might ask, what does my chart reveal about my natural strengths here? What transits are active, and how can I work with, not against their currents? The answers don't relieve you of responsibility. They equip you to wield your agency with greater wisdom. We have wandered through starlit philosophies, traced the outlines of ancient myths, and brought celestial wisdom down to the grounded reality of daily life. Now, at the end of our journey, we arrive at the heart of the mystery, not as a riddle to be solved, but as a living truth to be embodied. The great revelation is this: astrology and free will are not opposing forces, but partners in a sacred dance. The cosmos provides the music, the rhythms of the planets, the harmonies of the spheres, but we choose how to move. The birth chart is not a cage, but a compass. The transits are not fate's decree, but its invitation. Every moment, the universe whispers to us in the language of symbols, and we answer with our actions, our intentions, our courage to step into the unknown. This is where true empowerment lies, not in denying cosmic influence, nor in surrendering to it blindly, but in conscious collaboration. When Saturn's heavy hand rests on your shoulder, you decide whether to crumble under its weight or let it sculpt you into resilience. When Jupiter expands your horizons, you choose whether to leap into growth or cling to the familiar. The stars may set the stage, but the play is yours to perform. So what now? How do we carry this knowing forward? First, live with cosmic curiosity. Let your chart be a mirror, not a verdict. Study it not to confirm limitations, but to discover hidden strengths. When challenges arise, ask, what is this transit here to teach me? How can I align with, not resist its energy? Second, embrace the paradox. You are both a drop in the ocean and the entire ocean in a drop shaped by cosmic forces, yet capable of shaping them in return. Destiny is not a straight line, but a spiral, ever widening with each choice. Finally, create fearlessly. The universe dreams through you. Those planetary alignments, those aspects pulsing in your chart, they are raw material, not predetermined outcomes. Will you build walls with them, or bridges? If these words have stirred something in you, if you feel the call to engage more deeply with this dance of stars and soul, then let this not be an ending, but a beginning. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How has astrology shaped your understanding of free will? Where have you witnessed this cosmic dialogue in your own life? Subscribe for more journeys into the places where wisdom and wonder meet. And if this message has illuminated something within you, pass it on, for truths like these are not meant to be kept, but to be shared like starlight, scattering across the collective darkness, one spark at a time. The sky is not our limit, but our collaborator. The question is no longer, do the stars control me? But, how will I answer their call? The next move, dear traveler, is yours.